Hey cluckers, welcome back to the channel. It's my birthday today, so we're going to take on something that gave me fears as a kid, ruined some family days out. We're here, Matlock Bath, the Heights of Abraham. We're going to take on the cable car up to the top of the heights. There's lots of activities to do up there, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I say, when I was a kid, Mum and Dad brought us here quite a lot. I never managed to make it up here, I'm going to be honest, always chickened out. So we're going to try it now. I brought Barney today. Emotional support dog. Let's go. So yeah, it's not just a cable car up to the top of a hill, and there are a lot of different bits and pieces. There's like a mine you can go in. Looks like there's a mirror of the past. Looks like we've got a historical exhibition up there as well, so give you a bit view of that. We'll take the dog around, get in that mine as well. What have you got there, Barn? Nice water bowl out there. Like I say, it is dog friendly, the whole thing is. So first top tip really for your visit, book online. It is cheaper online. I think I was looking online, it's £25 instead of £28.50 for adults. A bit cheaper for children as well. Don't think I saw the family discount though, so I guess that's one thing. But yeah, cheaper online to purchase your tickets. Now from the queue, it looks like this can be quite a popular attraction, but like I say, we've come in February because it's my birthday and it's a much quieter day today.
You probably want a car on your own now anyway.
Here we go, Bar. Sit down. Sit down, mate. Sit down. Sit down.
Come on.
Sit down, please. Go on. Boy. Oof, I don't like that.
It's alright. You're alright. Mummy's got you. Mummy's got you. On.
Oh. Oh, it's already swaying. I don't like that.
Sit.
Barn, sit down, please. Sit down, please.
I'm doing Dad. I'm sitting under here and watching. Okay.
Barney, sit down, please.
Bonnie, it's okay.
Sit down.
Bonnie. Sit.
Sit down, mate. I think Barney's as nervous as I am about it.
Yeah, I think he is.
He doesn't like it.
No, I don't think he does.
No, I'm not a massive fan either, Barney, but we're doing it, aren't we?
It's not that far though, is it? Like, you're nearly halfway there. I don't think, in fact, I think you're nearly all the way there. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, good boy. You're such a good boy. Good boy you are. Yeah. What a good boy Barney is. Barney is so good boy. It's okay, isn't it? In here. Hey. You're okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh no, those kids are panicking and now I'm panicking. Can we panic now? It's gone very slow.
Are we past the other ones? Coming down.
No, I don't see one's coming down. Barn, sit down.
Sit down, mate.
We'll get moving again.
I'm looking out, Dad.
You are enjoying that?
Yeah.
Enjoying that? Oh, they're there above us.
You're shaking
Sam.
a bit.
They are slightly higher than us. No, I know. I'm not a massive fan
His
either,
tail's
Barney, if
right
I'm
now.
honest. I'm really not a fan. Supposed to be an emotional support dog here, but you're worse than I am.
Bon, sit still, please. I know you don't like it. I know. It's okay. We've got you.
Be over soon once we start moving again.
We'll be out of it soon. Mummy wouldn't let you get hurt. No. No. You got on it alright.
What's up? You enjoying it?
No.
No.
Don't you like it?
No, I don't like it either. We're moving now, we're moving. We're back.
Mummy boy.
We're back.
Mummy's precious boy.
We're back in the game.
He's so brown and fluffy and nice. He is. He's the most fluffy, nice brown boy I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. My boy. My good boy. Oh, yeah.
Not gonna lie, I'm not looking forward to coming back down.
I mean, you can't walk down.
You can't walk up though.
You can't walk up. But get down off Daddy's knee. You want to jump up, jump on me. I'm not as scared as Daddy.
You seem to be holding on for dear life too. Not just me.
I mean,
It's a lot faster than like the Sky Rider towers, isn't it? A lot higher.
I think he's okay now. He's calmed down a little bit.
Whew, that was a lot, but we have made it to the other side, up to the top of the heights of Abraham, so we're going to have a little explore. Barney didn't like that either. I didn't like it, Barney didn't like it. Not looking forward to the return journey back down either. So look at the views here though, this is incredible.
All the way down and all the way back. Don't go on the steps.
This is definitely why you do it. The Nestus Mine and the Great Rutland Cavern. Wowzer. Oh. It's a long, long way down there, I'm not going to lie. So while you're up here at the heights of Abraham, it's not just about amazing views of the local area. There's loads of little exhibition areas and kind of like little museum-y bits. There's 2 caverns you can explore as well, which we're going to have a look in a bit. But like I say, there's these museum elements that I'm looking forward to getting in and showing you around. So I'm about to enter the first cavern, the Great Masonic Cavern, for one of 2 cavern tours. The tours run every 20 minutes and are free as well, so they're part of your admission today.
You alright there?
Aye.
You might be thinking, what's he talking about? We're miles away from the seaside, Well, you've got to think back 350 million years ago. That's exactly where you'd be stood right now, in the shallow tropical oceans that used to cover these lands. Now, in the oceans, you would have had crustaceous sea creatures, so shrimp-type creatures, lobster-type creatures, that were quite happily swimming around unscathed. But unfortunately, like everything that lives, these creatures had to die. Now, when they died, they sank to the bottom of the ocean floor, and that's where their shells and bones remained. The more creatures that died, the more these shells and bones would simply start to pile up at the bottom of the ocean floor. Now, with the weight of the water and the rolling tides, these shells and bones, they get squished and compact and compressed downwards. And that's what's formed these limestone rocks that you see around you. Now, it's sedimentary rock form, which means it's made up of the corals, the seaweeds, and the lime mud, which would have acted like a paste. But predominantly, what you are surrounded by is walls of death. Millions upon millions and millions of dead, crushed sea creatures. It's a lovely thought, isn't it? Nice. But you look around, you can see different colour variants on the rocks. These are minerals. Now, how the minerals arrived here, what we've got to do is flash forward in time a little bit to 180 million years ago, the volcanic era. So, at that point, we're still under the oceans, and so too are the volcanoes. And at the centre of the earth, you've got lots of mineral-rich liquids, metals and lavas. Everything's warming up, basically. The precious metals are starting to rise up to the surface. But they've got to break through the ocean floor. So when these volcanoes erupt, they literally start to lift that seabed higher and higher, and it pushes all the rocks from the bottom of the ocean thousands of feet above sea level. When the ocean floor gives in, the water then fades away, basically it fizzles and drains away, and then mineral-rich liquids start to fill in the cracks and solidify. So, off each and every angle and surface you can see in here, lead ore formed and set. It travelled all the way from the centre of the earth and then reset on the surface. Now, we can't see any lead because 96% of it has been extracted all out of the hillside by your miners. But the minerals we can still see is iron ore, that's your red orange stain. The grey areas on the rocks are zinc oxide. Now the crystals you see around you, and you'll see more as we progress further, are calcite and fluorspar. Calcite is the larger crystal, and your fluorspar are tiny, tiny, tiny crystals that form like a blanket over the surface of the limestone. Almost looks like glitter reflecting back at you. Now quartz and amethyst has been found, that's deeper down into the caverns below us. And we've got malachite forming as the years go on. Carbonised copper, basically. It's a lovely green turquoise mineral, and sometimes you can just spot little tiny flecks of it around in the rocks. Now, what we've just walked through is something called the Great Rake. That's a crack in the Earth's surface, it's a fault line. It's about 6.5 miles long. It starts in the village of Crouch over in that direction. It snakes and bends across the valley, closes up about a mile behind me. Now, that's a lovely entrance into the cavern, and as I'll explain later on, I'll show you how the exits were blown up in the mid-1800s to make the tours bigger and better. But when your miners were underground, they had to come in from the surface only, following the veins of lead, and they created a shaft system. And it was Mr. John Walker, the head of the family, hence why it's called Walker's Grove. So it's a family-run mine. Now, in 1670, these hills came alive with miners, because at that point, the lead industry was rocketing through the sky. The price for it had never been greater, and the demand had never been greater. Now we know since the early 1400s people have taken lead from the hillsides, but from the surface only. And they've used it like the Romans did for their weapons and armour. The Georgians used it for makeup. So, it's had its weird and wonderful uses over the time, even though people didn't know the toxicity levels of it when they were dealing with it. Not like we do now. But Mr. John Walker started up there in 1670. Now the only reason the miners really rinsed these hills of lead is because of what happened in the year 1666. 1666. I've had people shout the Battle of Hastings, the men won the World Cup. The right year. 1666, what happened?
Fire of London.
Yes, the Great Fire of London. So London burns to the ground. The Londoners are starting to rebuild their city. They know that lead is malleable, so you can bend, twist, and manipulate it into anything you like, pretty much. And it's waterproof. So they start to line their rooftops, the window frames. They use it for pipeworks and drain systems. So London's calling. The Derbyshire miners respond. They know where the lead is. They simply start to mine it and work it and sell it on. There's a little bit more into it than that, but that's pretty much the basics of it. Now, so starting all the way up there, you can see soot stains, and you'll see soot stains in the rooftop all the way through Walker's Grove. And you'll see these scars and scratches on the rocks. These are pick marks left behind by your miners' tools. Now, little tiny holes like this, no man would fit in them. So children from the age of 6 years old were brought underground and fed into these little tiny holes with small picks and candles to make the space bigger. The only bit of protection you had is a length of rope around your ankles, just in case there weren't a drop that the miners weren't aware of that could be anywhere to up to 300 feet deep. Now, well, obviously you'd bring your kids to work, wouldn't you? That's in demand. Well worth risking your kids' life for. They would use gunpowder while they're underneath the surface. Sections of rock like this have been blown up, and it would have looked exactly like that. They've just rebuilt it. So drill holes into the limestone, bring some gunpowder to work with you, save yourselves hours of work, blow it up while you're happily sizzling away a few metres away from you. Crazy, crazy times. Health and safety wasn't high on their priority list. So, 15 years later, this cabin is empty. 15 years. But what the Walkers found next was something quite extraordinary that kept them employed for generations. So, just behind you all there, you can see a lovely opening and a clear passage through the hillside. That's it, so feel free to peruse now, have a look around. When you are done, come and see me at the top here and show you how to get back in.
Oh, you can only go up to that one.
Sorry, I'm not in it, am I?
No. Oh, it's a lot of stairs.
It looks knackered.
He needs an ambulance. He needs a hospital.
There we go, the fog is finally cleared. Full views. Right, any additional questions at all?
How often?
So yeah, just come out of the main cavern. It's a lot of steps, Fascinating, but a lot of steps.
Dogs aren't allowed in.
Yeah, dogs aren't allowed in, so she escaped the mine. Actually scarier than the cable car though, because it's very steep, it's very dark. If you're claustrophobic, it's definitely not for you. And those 80 steps at the end. Whew, but look at this view. Look at this view here. It's lovely. Absolutely lovely. I bet on a sunny day in summer, this is incredible.
Sunshine! Where's my sunshine?
So I caught my breath a bit after that deep dive into the shaft. 40-minute experience led by someone who knows a lot about history. Thoroughly fascinating and part of your ticket as well, so can't complain. Obviously dogs aren't allowed in there. What I found really interesting is when they first started running tours down there, nothing to do with quarrying, the people that did it made up a story about the Romans camping down there. And people flock to it. Just says, you just make something up, it works.
I think we all learned a valuable lesson from that.
Like I said before, fascinating down there. Really enjoyed that. And there is a second one. Don't know if we've got time today to go and see it. Hope we have. So I might see if Lindsay wants to do it instead. Now they were saying, with it being dark and claustrophobic, it's not for everyone. There's actually a little bit of a cinema downstairs next to the restaurant where you can watch them going down, and basically like a film version of the tour, which just sounds really good for someone who does struggle. I know what I mean. About halfway through I was worn out. I was a bit like, I don't know if I can do this. Too late really, gone halfway. But if you've done that first cavern and kind of when he says there's 100 and odd stairs still to go, you sure you want to do it? Sure you want to do it in the dark? People can turn back there. So I guess turning back, going to the cinema, watching it instead in comfort. I get it.
Wait, not enough cardio?
Just going to show you this view. It's very nice. So a little bit of a museum here. I think it's fashion through the ages here. 1790. Now that's a hat. That's a nice hat. $1875. How do you look?
You look funky fresh. And funky fresh.
Bit stupid, I guess. Little known fact you might not know about Coaster Hen. She's like a sponge of knowledge. Come to anything like this, whether she's interested in kind of mining and precious rocks and stuff like that, she'll read it, she'll absorb it. She's like a sponge. Let's have a little look in the Heights of Abraham Pleasure Gardens. Oh, have you seen what there is here? Bit of a photo op here. Yeah, I think so. That's the original cable car as seen on Blue Peter. I'm glad that isn't what was there when I was a kid. Or was it like the rescue? That's what they have to go to rescue people.
Mom, sit down, please. Coaster chicken. Coaster chicken.
Here we find Lindsay writing the new theme tune for the vlogs.
This is our big break.
So we made it down to the Great Rutland Cavern for the last tour of the day. Now, there's been some confusion. A couple of people have told us actually the dog can go through this one. So I'm going to try a look, see if Barney can go through the cavern, bring you some footage from inside. Fingers crossed, eh?
A lot more stable than I
Yeah. Keep it focused. She's not got any special thoughts like you've got it. Mike, you ready for me?
Right, is everyone? Have massive groups all day. It's weird. Alright, now that we're in the cabin, I feel like I should introduce myself a little bit. My name is Miss Maggie Colton. Now, I was born 20 years after this part of the cabin opened in 1810. Now, of course, I was not around to see the opening of the cabin, but my great aunt Fanny was, and she recalls all of the stories told in the Matlock Mercury, our local newspaper, about the Rutland Cabin being a cemetery of nature. Now that sounds quite morbid, but it is an accurate description, as we're currently surrounded by limestone. If you didn't know, limestone is made from billions of dead bodies.
Shocking.
Fish bodies. Now, as this limestone forms, there's also lots of minerals that are deposited in it. And on this wall here, that we like to call the Wall of Wonders, you'll see some of those minerals. Over here we have calcite, which has the same chemical composition as limestone, it's just a crystalline structure. This rusty line along here is iron ore. This black smudge is zinc oxide. Just near that iron, you might be able to see some quartz. You may notice a bit of glitter within the limestone if you have a look round. That's fluorspar. Now, fluorspar is used in the steel industry. It would have been mined out here and shipped off to Sheffield. Now, what you can't see on this wall is the mineral which has been extracted, named galena. Now, if you don't know, galena is a compound of lead called lead sulfide. It's very, very useful for us and for the miners. We use it in things like window frames and door frames, plumbing, pencils, buttons. And in the Elizabethan era, it was found in makeup because the beauty standard of the time was to look like you were dying of tuberculosis. So all of the women wanted pale, white complexions with lots and lots of blush. And to achieve this, lead was put in the makeup. Now, our wonderful Queen Victoria today says that makeup makes you look like a hussy. So we don't have to worry about lead poisoning in our skin anymore because, of course, we don't wear makeup anymore. But it is still used in plumbing and doors and windows. So I'm going to show you the tools that were used by the miners and are still used to extract the minerals such as the lead out of these walls, alright? So if you'd like to follow me up this way. Powder is very, very effective at blasting out very large chunks of rock. It's also very good at blasting out very large chunks of people, so we have to be very careful with it. Now, unfortunately, a bucket of gunpowder around this size, I'm not touching it because I don't want it to go off, would cost a man's entire day's wages. So it was a very expensive method of mining. So instead of explosive power, they opted for manpower. And here we have a pickaxe. As you can see, it's quite big, it's very heavy, it's made of iron and wood. Now, you look like you're a very professional miner. You've even got a head torch on.
Dress for the job you want.
Possibly could when you couldn't go any further. We'd grab that rope around your ankle and yank you back out the hole that you've dug for yourself. Doesn't that sound fun? I think so too. Now, there were a few other methods of mining if you couldn't use a pickaxe. What you'll see on this wall here is how this top piece of the rock hangs over this little bit at the bottom that goes further back. This is where the rock has been burnt away. Now you can't burn rock in the traditional sense. What the miners would do is they would pile up firewood, light it on fire of course, and then once the rock was glowing a luminous red, they would throw buckets of cold water at it. This sudden change in temperature would cause the rock to shatter. There was a little bit of a problem with this method of mining though. It was guaranteed to kill you because all of the oxygen from the atmosphere would be sucked into the fire for fuel and the air would be filled with smoke. You'd suffocate no matter where you were in the cavern. Of course, the miners didn't want all their workers dying, so they came up with the idea to light the fire at the end of the day and they would come back in the morning to throw the cold water on. Now, a far safer method of mining, but a bit more time consuming, was using a plug and feather. We have some here, also made of iron, just like the pickaxe. I think it's quite ironic that they mined lead but did it all with iron tools. A bit silly if you ask me. Now, you take a small hand drill and you're going to drill a hole into the limestone. It's big enough to fit your tools. This will take you around 2 days. And by that, that's probably around 24 hours because they were working 12-hour shifts. Once the hole was big enough to fit in your tools, you'd then insert them as so. You'd then get a hammer and you'd whack down your plug. And you'll see because of the shape of them, see this little gap at the bottom? This would pry apart the rock and cause it to crumble. Now this had to be done close to the edge of the limestone so that the face could shatter off. If it was done too far inwards, then your tools would get stuck. And if you look just behind you over there, directly in line with me, there's a plug and feather stuck into the limestone. So on our way back down, if you'd like to have a bit of a sword and a stone moment, please feel free. Now over time, what's happened is water has dripped down on that plug and feather and made the iron rust, and the limestone around it has corroded and it's held it in place. So that's not going to come out, but you can give it a good go, alright? Now, regardless of what method you used to mine out your galena, as long as you obtained some, you were pretty alright. But it then had to get to the surface, and that was done with one of these upside-down shaped buckets called a core. Now they're shaped in this way so that as they're being pulled up the mine shaft and hitting along the edges, along the walls, none of the galena is going to spill out. Now the men were down here doing the difficult work with the pickaxe. The women were doing the even more difficult work of lugging those up and down all day. They would be the ones with all the muscle, alright? You would not want to clip around the ear from them. Now once the galena was at the surface, it had to be separated into grades. Larger, purer chunks of galena would be set aside and smelted as is. Smaller, more impure chunks had to be filtered, and they would go in a sieve. So if you've ever used a sieve when you're baking, either use it on flour or some kind of grain, it's effectively the same thing. You go like this, you give it a good shake, and the galena falls through. Now what would happen is you would get covered in a very thick sludge of mud called bellend. And this thick sludge of mud would make you very ill with a disease called plumbism. The bellend would get in your throat and in your lungs, and you would become very ill. You wouldn't be able to breathe, your teeth would fall out, your skin would rot, you'd go quite peculiar in the brain, and eventually you'd meet your untimely demise. But don't worry, there is a cure for plumbism, and that cure is beer. So if you are feeling a little susceptible to the elements, make sure to grab yourself a Tinker's Tipple from the cabin on your way out.
So we just come out of the cavern there, and across the side, I don't know if you can see it, that is Gulliver's Matlock. So if I can zoom in. So I've just come out of the Great Rutland Cavern. Now, not as good as the first cavern, there wasn't as much stuff to do. I don't know if it was just because it's the start of the season. When they were going in there was like a animatronic covered up and said, oh, it does a story. Some of the information's a bit outdated, they want to update that. So they've covered it up for now. There was a room with some waxworks, old Roman waxworks that they used to use years and years ago. And they used to take you in this room because there's a bit of a pond in there, but they had some odd guests who tried to get in, so apparently they've sealed that area off. There was another room in there as well, where all the lights are off at the moment, so we can't go in there until they fix the lights. So it sounds like kind of start of the season, a couple of issues and errors they need to kind of fix in there, but like I say, another person knows everything about the history, tell you so many good things. Like I say, it's been deeply educational, there's been amazing reviews, the caverns are brilliant. It cost £28.50 for an adult, £25 for a child.
But it was only $48 for an annual pass, which...
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, we've rushed around and done both the caverns.
And I'd also like to come back and be able to go in the things.
Yeah, you didn't get to do it because of the dog, and obviously we didn't have time to kind of swap around. We did a couple of like the museum-y bits, but we didn't do them all. Missed a lot of the stuff because we just didn't have time. So there's plenty to do. You can come back, and like I say, the annual pass would definitely be worth kind of investing in. I've really enjoyed it. I think it's really good. We've decided we're not going to get the cable car back. But I didn't like it. Now I've had enough. That was enough once.
That cavern's near the pedestrian exit and the cable car.
But yeah, we're closer to the pedestrian exit than the cable car. There's no pedestrian entrance though, which is
the dog probably is going to break me back coming down here though.
But yeah, we've had a lovely time. I've got to be honest. The weather, if it was better, even better views. But you know what? Worth a visit, especially if you're not a fan of cable cars and you want to try and brave them, because that was a lot. Thanks for watching today.
Please walk nicely.
Please like, share, subscribe, and we will hatch you again soon.
Wait, stop!
Right, I know I wrapped this one up about 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes ago, but we've walked from the mine and we thought it looks closer than actually walking back up and getting the cable car. Top tip to you. Walk back up and get those cable cars. Wow. Whew, it's a walk. It's a hell of a walk down. Didn't look that bad, but it is. So, top tip. Don't think about walking the pedestrian exit. You've paid your ticket for the cable car. Just go do the cable car. Hopefully that wraps it all up. So, bye-bye.